Welcome back to the 0 to 6 figure series. This is a series where I showcase my portfolio, and today what we're going to do is we're going to showcase where we are today. I've added some new positions to the portfolio. We're going to talk about the recent changes in the market, and of course we're going to talk about my thoughts about Q4. I did mention it in the last video that we're going to cover it. It has been a few weeks, but I think now is a good time to really dive into my thoughts for Q4, as well as some of the assets and protocols that I'm using and looking at nowadays. So without further ado, I think we should just jump straight into it. This is the portfolio. As you can see, it is a little bit better in terms of how it looks from a dollar perspective. We have actually added to the portfolio. We've spent a few $1,000s adding, and that's why you can see that our total assets add up to around $14,500. Currently, our total profit so far is just under $4,000. What have we actually done? Well, first of all, we have been able to farm some USDC with some OHM. I did actually add some more OHM to the portfolio just so we could farm it with some USDC. The yields were pretty good. So that's what we're doing at the moment. And OHM by itself has also gone up in price a little bit. So that's an additional bonus. I did also finally decide, you know what, let's buy a bit more ETH. And so that's why you can see ETH is actually the second largest position in the portfolio now. And, I'm sure in due time, this will be the number one position in the portfolio. Otherwise, I think most other things seem to be the same as last episode. I think the only difference is I did claim some butterfly rewards, and so we have increased the position there. However, we are still down massively from previous buys. But, this is a low market cap coin. What do you expect? And then Matic as well. We were farming on Uniswap. We did actually claim some of these tokens. Yes, they are down from where we purchased before, but, at least some of the damage was negated by farming, in the interim. Otherwise, I think everything else seems to be the same. Now, our portfolio is far from finished. We've got plenty more to do, a lot more work to do, and we've got a few more assets to kind of add to the portfolio over time, but we'll get there. I think we're not going to look into these assets too much today. Rather, we're going to look at kind of what the future is going to hold. I think we'll start off firstly by talking about Bitcoin. And we did see some news about the ETF today. It was actually by Cointelegraph. And what we did see was a huge spike up. We went from 27.8, 27.9, all the way up to, on some dexes, like 30.2, 30.3. Massive pump. And this retraced like within minutes, literally straight away. What actually happened? Well, it seems like Cointelegraph basically had some false news about BlackRock's spot ETF being approved by the SEC, and now they've just tweeted saying that they're going to do an internal investigation about what's been going on, because did they maliciously kind of pump and dump the market? I don't know. It looks like someone on Rollbit opened up a 50x long position just moments before and was able to cash out multiple millions from this. Seems very, very, very dodgy, especially the fact that they got that exit price at $30,300. Very, very, very fishy. So that's what happened today, and I do wonder whether or not this does show the market has some inefficiencies right now, in the sense of people are priced out of, if an SEC decision were to come in the coming weeks or a couple of months, what will the market do? It's interesting to see. But I think generally Bitcoin is around this $27,000, $28,000, $26,000 mark. We're still below that $31,000, $32,000 mark as well. And it appears like nothing's really changing on that side, if we look in the last few weeks anyway. So quarter four is here. We're actually in the middle of October now, so we've got 2.5 months to go actually. Some of the questions that some of you guys have had towards me is, what am I doing? What am I looking at? And what are my plans for quarter four? And I think the first thing is, to me, it looks like we're going to get a bit of an Arbitrum season. The Arbitrum step recently just finished. There's 29 projects that made it through, and all of these are going to get a nice grant totaling 50 million Arbitrum tokens. And you can see on screen I've got a list of all of the different tokens, all of the different projects, I should say. And these are some pretty good projects as well. GMX being the number one app on Arbitrum, were able to get the highest allocation of ARB with 12 million. And what GMX will actually do is they will actually give some of these these ARB tokens to new protocols building on top of GMX, which is really good. But I mean, if we look, we've got Dopex, Camelot, TimeSwap, Radiant, Pendle, MUX, Frax even made it, Risk, the options protocol. We see Abracadabra, Angle, Trader Joe, Dolomite, Premier, Perennial, Balancer. Really high quality protocols here. We've got a bunch of everything in terms of derivatives, especially with the perps and options protocols, but also lending markets, DEXs, launchpads, stable coins, you name it, we've kind of got on this list, and I'm really excited to see how these tokens get allocated. Personally, I'm going to try and maximize these amazing yields that we're going to get, and we are going to get some really good yields. So it is Arbitrum season. Well, I think it will be anyway, over the coming 2.5 months. These 50 million Arbitrum tokens will be spent in this 3-month period, and so yeah, I'm pretty excited, and there will be some really good projects to check out. I probably will make a video about how I'm personally going to allocate according to this. We've still probably got a few days or a week before we see these tokens actually come out, but yeah, this is really good, and I think Arbitrum is one place where I am focusing. The Arbitrum token isn't really doing too much. It's actually down quite a bit. I think we are, well, I mean, we got it as an airdrop, didn't we? But if we just look at the last 3 months, we're pretty much down only, but it seems like we've balanced out a little bit. I don't know if this is a good time to purchase ARB or not, but I think generally there will be a lot of eyes on the Arbitrum ecosystem, and personally my eyes are all on these projects here. So Pendle, TimeSwap, Frax, Risk, these are Dolomite, these are projects where I will be looking to kind of deploy some of my funds. Some of these don't have tokens, but I will be deploying stables here anyway, and kind of making the most of it. And who knows, you should be able to make a few percent here and there by farming, especially if you're early. What else am I excited about? Well, I think real world assets are a ongoing theme. They were a theme towards the end of Q3 as well, but I think they're an ongoing theme. And recently we did see the likes of Frax introduce real world assets with SFrax. You can see that there's already 40 million SFrax, deposited, and they're earning currently just under 7% APY. I think this is only going to increase over time. So I think SFrax will probably hit, over 50 million supply. I think real world assets are a really important thing. I did actually write an issue in my newsletter today talking about how to make the risk-free rate in crypto, really talking about T-bills in crypto. Go and check this article out. We talk about a few different projects, Maker, Frax, Angle, and Canto as well. So I'll leave this in the description below. It is a paid article, but I think if you really want me to kind of make a video about this, I can do for sure. So yeah, for those of you who want to check it out, I think this one's a really good one, and I do talk in depth about some of the different opportunities there are with those 4 different protocols, Frax being one of them. Intents are another new sector of DeFi that is generating some hype. I won't go into too much detail today, but I am looking at projects that are building around this intents narrative, I should say. I think it's probably too early, and I think a lot of it is still a bit unknown, but just something that I thought I'd let you know about. And then lastly, I think I am looking at Solana. I think Solana, as you can see over the last year from the FTX lows, has actually performed pretty well. I mean, most other alts have been bleeding, this entire time. A lot of them are actually lower than they were, in January. And so I think Solana is a really interesting one. And I think I will be doing a deep dive on Solana fairly soon. So make sure you're subscribed, like this video, and I'll try and get that out fairly soon. But we'll do some research for sure, and we'll definitely be diving into the Solana ecosystem as well. So I think that basically covers most of my thoughts about Q4. I still think that, there's pros and there's cons for being in the market. I think in terms of the SEC decision with the Bitcoin ETF, with BlackRock's spot ETF, as you can see today from today's price action, there is inefficiencies, and when an announcement does come, maybe it comes next month, maybe it comes a month after, maybe it comes in January 2024, but when it does come, I think the likelihood is that prices will be higher then than they are now. Of course, I don't know, no financial advice as always. I'm just a random guy on the internet, but I think generally, those are my thoughts. However, I think if things do get delayed further, then it wouldn't surprise me if we saw altcoins kind of fall a little bit more. There is paper thin liquidity across the board, and the same concerns that I mentioned in the previous episode are still valid today. I mean, it's only been a couple of weeks or so, but I think the market really hasn't changed in that regard. I think one where I'd like to just end things off is just talk about 5 different protocols that I've been using. I'm not telling you to invest in that governance token or anything like that, because we know how governance tokens perform. But what I am saying is that these are some things that I'm personally looking at. No financial advice. There are plenty of risks associated with using these protocols, but I do really like them. First of all, we've got protocol F of X, which is a protocol that lets you split ETH into 2 different assets, FETH and XETH. You can decide. So, for example, if you had 1 ETH, you could basically pick FETH or XETH. You can mint it against it. FETH is an asset that trades or moves at the price action of 1/10 of that of ETH. So it's akin to a stable coin, and that extra volatility gets absorbed by XETH. And currently XETH gives you an equivalent leverage of 2.3x. So these are really, really, really interesting assets, and I have talked about them on Twitter a fair amount. I'll leave a link in the description to some of the threads that I have made on them, and potentially some video content will be coming in the future that I will try and work on. But yeah, really, really, really like FETH actually. I think it's really cool to have different stable assets, not just fiat peg stable assets. And FETH is definitely one that I like the look of. There's pair protocol as well. You can see I've actually got a position open on this current wallet. Pair protocol basically let you trade pairs. So here you can see I'm trading the BTC ETH pair, and this is pretty cool because if you just open this position like a year ago and just kept it open, you would be up really nicely. It just goes to show trading pairs are pretty cool, and you can trade some of these unusual pairs like Unilink or some of the other ones on here. I think this is still in beta, so there's still a while to go, but yeah, I really like pair protocol, and I'm excited to see kind of how this goes in future. Dolomite is, I like Dolomite because they work really closely with Pendle, and Pendle is an application that I've talked about. I've done a deep dive on them as well. And some of these Pendle tokens, like this PTGLP and yield tokens as well, can actually be used on here. So I really like that. Dolomite has no token yet, and we all know generally how things go in that regard. Perennial is another one that I'm looking at. And part of the reason why is because they were able to get 750,000 ARB tokens, quite a decent amount actually, and I wonder how they're going to use them, but I think there will be some decent yields with Perennial. And TimeSwap is a really, really, really interesting protocol, Oracle-less, no liquidation, fixed rate lending. I've talked about them as well, and I probably will talk about them again in future, but yeah, another one that I'm looking at and I like the look of. So yeah, there's just 5 different protocols that I think are worth keeping an eye on or worth trying out. You can definitely learn a little bit by using some of them for sure. And yeah, I think we'll just have to wait and see how things go. So yeah, I think that's pretty much my thoughts about the current market. Things that I'm going to be looking at in the near future, and where things will go for Q4, as well as some of my favorite applications at the moment. So going back to the portfolio, we are currently at $14,608. Stay tuned, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. We'll be back with plenty more content in the near future. Stay tuned for the next episode. Hopefully we can break that $15,000 mark. Let's see.